Okay.
because for those people who are not fortunate enough to be able to tune in for a little while on a Wednesday afternoon, I want to be able to post this and reuse it. So um, hopefully we'll have a few more people show up. But hey, look, let's have the conversation, Mark, and let's talk about what we got coming in January. Because so what I've been doing is the introductory video that you sent us. We kind of put some Ameriteam stuff on it and sent it out to our agents.
Wonderful.
We've done
Thank
that
you.
and been sharing some shorts and messages building up to, hey, we got this thing coming today. Come meet Mark. So we got a few people here that haven't met you, that may not have been at the Christmas party. And then we could talk a little bit about some of what you'll be offering on the 8th. Now, it dawned on me the other day when we had a meeting here on Tuesday. We had some recruits. We were doing a small training and stuff. And our classes for the new recruits start on the second Monday of every month, which happens to fall on the 8th in January. So we're gonna have our lunch and learn. You're gonna be here. We're gonna kick off at 11. We're gonna have food available, and then at 2 o'clock we've got brand new students coming in. So we're gonna see if we
Perfect.
can get them to come in early and just kind of catch the energy and see what everything's all about, and really get the word out.
Hey, that works out pretty well. It looks like because
Yeah,
I'll be available pretty much all afternoon, all morning. So I
that would
mean,
be
that's a full day for me.
that
I
would be
think I won't leave
perfect.
until the evening. So yeah, I think that's gonna work out pretty well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
our kickoff for our 0 to 90 class is 0 to contract in 90 days. I showed you the outline, and that's usually about 90 minutes, 2 hours tops. So we kick off at 2, we're ending at about 4, and then people can linger for some Q&A and other stuff. We make sure that if students are in the class and they haven't, for whatever reason, logged on to their technology yet, they do that before they leave.
Oh, that's
Because the
wonderful.
support's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get to, show them, they get to meet the lender and our title and a few other people too. So it's
Oh, wonderful.
kind of a good way to kick off new students, new agents.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, I look forward. I'll be there all day, pretty much. So,
Beautiful,
it's
beautiful.
actually a good day for us, for all of us, because I'm quite excited to share whatever I have. Almost 30 years in this business. Since '94, I joined real estate. I was actually with Remax for a long time, for almost close to combined about almost 20 years, 15 years as an agent and 5 years as a franchise owner of
Broker
Remax. So
owner, right?
yeah, broker owner. So
And
yes,
you owned the one office, right?
I own the one office in Kensington. Yeah,
And then that you sold that,
I sold that to Samson.
and that's who you're
Yeah,
with now.
that's who I'm with now. Correct.
And how many agents do you have at Sam's?
At Samson, there's about 6,000 agents now over there
Mm-hmm.
overall. But I actually have trained over 50 agents total.
Okay.
Um, and I have like at least like a dozen, um, I guess like video, what do you call this? Um, Review or feedback, video feedback. I put three of them actually on the page that I sent you, at
Oh, okay.
markcabrera.com. So there's at least three of them there actually mentioning how I impacted their business. I have one agent in particular. It's quite interesting. 7 years she was going from broker to broker and couldn't sell a house. And she asked me, how do I, what makes you any different, than any other person that would actually train me? And I told her, I said, I'll make you produce. And now actually she's regularly producing transactions. She's actually got out of the mentor program because they do the first three usually. Mandatorily, any new agents actually have to go through the mentor program. But once they get out of the mentor program, they can do whatever they want at that point, because it actually limits the liability of the brokerage in that sense. But at least they have competent people working out there, have been trained. So
Right.
with that in mind, I mean, I actually had over 26 new agents actually produce transactions, and at least 4 or 5 of them made it to their what they call Cardinal Club, which is 8 transactions in a year. So
Okay.
so it's pretty good numbers. But more importantly, I think if we were able to have people follow a path on a weekly basis, even twice a week kind of scenario of being able to be motivated to do the essentials that we need to do in our business, then
Right.
they're naturally going to grow into the business, because that's what I found. So yeah.
Right. And so you've done this up north, and Samson is located in Maryland or Virginia?
Maryland, Virginia. They're located in Virginia, but they do business in all three tri-state: Maryland, DC,
Right,
Virginia.
because you're up in that
They're-
corner, right?
Yeah, right in
So-
the that's a tri-state area where you do business. So, like
that's
right now, I have a property that I'm closing in Virginia, like an hour and a half away from me,
Mhm.
and I'm closing a property that I listed an hour and a half away from me, but I'm in Maryland. So yeah, so it pretty much that's how we work. We can work in all three states.
Well, we're not in a tri-state area being in Central Florida, but we deal with properties an hour and a half away from us all the time.
Yeah,
And an
exactly,
hour and a
right?
half in Orlando could be 2 streets over, and you just got to deal with the traffic.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, believe it or not, I actually sold one property already this 2023 this year
In Florida.
in Florida, Palm Bay. Actually, sold it for 450,000. I listed a property there. So and I know I'm gonna be getting a lot more business there coming up, because I already have one investor that brought 3 more investors that would like to invest in the Orlando area. So potentially I know I can close by at least 2 or 3 in the next 6 months with them. So they're cash buyers.
So you came into Florida, you got your license, you
A year ago.
actually, and then,
As
but
a
you were
broker.
a broker, so you actually you got your license reciprocity with taking the law exam. You were actually you got your broker's license here in Florida.
Actually, it's not a law exam. I have to take the whole brokerage.
They made you take the whole thing?
Yeah, it's not. There's no reciprocity in Florida to actually get your license, but you could actually get the broker's license based on your number of years and sales experience.
Okay.
So I was able to get my broker's license, but I had to take the whole broker's licensing exam to be able to get my broker's license. So
All right.
yeah, but honestly, it was easier. It was much easier than before, because of course I kind of, since I've been doing this for so long, I mean, this is the only thing I know. So I passed it fairly easily. I think I pretty much had like 1 or 2 mistakes on the questions that they had.
Most of them.
So I was kind of fortunate, because it was there's some differences, but I was able to figure out what the differences are in Florida and Maryland. So
Now you came to us through Mauricio, which I got to
Yes.
meet here at the
Yes.
party.
yes.
And Mauricio was a contact that Michelle, Michelle's online. She's actually at the airport online as she's getting ready to travel to New York. Safe travels, Michelle.
Yeah, safe travels, Michelle.
Yes. So we got introduced to you, and we've sat down a couple of times. There she is, sitting at the airport. So we've had a couple of meetings now to talk about the kind of programs that you've already put together and have kind of vetted up there in that market.
Correct. So I have this program that's already been tested with multiple agents that I've actually successfully able to help them produce, and at least 3 of them came out of it with at least this particular program, they came out of it with like flying colors. They're averaging now like 10 to 12 transactions a year at this point. So at least 3 of them came out to be that way. And I was also coaching some agents there that was producing probably like 4 to 5 transactions. I got them to produce between 15 and 18 transactions. So not mentioning those people. I think the type of business we're in, it's across the board. It's more like if between Florida and Maryland, DC, Virginia would be, I would just say, cultural a little bit, but of course, being American and American culture, is going to be across the board as well. So the outside of that, basically, what you're looking at is like compliance, right? In terms of like, putting together contracts and making sure, and business practices. So those are the differences that you're seeing. But the main similarity, I think, is the psychology behind selling. I think that's where it boils down to. I'm actually a big advocate of what we call soft selling. You sell yourself into a transaction. We don't sell houses. We sell us being in the middle of it, if you know what I mean. So which means
it's a relationship business.
Yeah, it's a relationship business, but you know, even when you have relationships,
I'm here. I just had to close
yeah.
my door. I hear an
So
echo. Sorry.
so even when you have relationships, right? I don't know if you've ever run into a situation you have a really good relationship, but the person doesn't buy with you.
No, we don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really even enough to have that relationship. What's the underlying factor behind the relationship makes a huge difference, because there's also a certain amount of trust value that you put into it, and expertise. So the three factors that come into play that I see that most people don't realize is, not only you have to have a good relationship with somebody, which means they like you and they want to hang out with you, or do they want to do things with you, they want to actually get to know you, or they know you very well, right? But then there's two other factors. The other factor is basically trustability, whether or not you're a person that they know, that they can trust. You know, you could be a very good friend, but they can only trust you to for certain things, not necessarily in real estate. How do you get them to trust you in the kind of professions that you do?
Right.
So you know, even church members, if you happen to go to church and you actually meet somebody at church, they can trust you as a church member, but can they trust you as a real estate agent or broker?
Sure.
Right.
And there's a
So
lot of factors that go into
it
that.
has to it has to be able to come across a certain way for certain people, because I've had like experienced agent telling me like, you know, Mark, I'm building all these relationships, but these friends of mine are buying with somebody else. This is, I mean, this is
Right.
one of the issues that he was running into. So what I had told him, I said, listen, and he says like, well, it's because there's somebody else who's a realtor in our group, and he's the one they're buying with instead of me, right? And I told him, I said, don't feel bad. Figure out what he's doing that you're not. So
Yeah.
that's what you gotta figure. That's where you gotta start. You gotta figure out what he's doing that you're not,
Right.
and then you follow it through with figuring out what makes them want to work with you. What's the value of what you bring in to the picture that allows them to feel like, oh yeah, I want to work with you rather than, you know, this other person, right? So the point I'm trying to make is like, you know, the value doesn't necessarily have to be in a value like monetary value.
Right.
When people owe you favor, right, you have to teach them how to return the favor. This is the way I look at our business. See, it's not enough that you have a good relationship with somebody. It's not enough that you're tied in with another person. It's not enough that you help another person. What makes it good and what makes it work is when that person feels like they will actually be able to give back to you. And what if they don't know how to give back to you? That's where you come in. This is where you need to teach them how to give back to you.
Sure.
The one thing I always ask when I do some charity work or like freebie work, like when during the time we had a lot of these loan modifications, I modified a lot of people's loans for free. And my ex-wife, and that hence she's an ex-wife, used to actually tell me like, why are you doing this? You know, we're in a recession, you need to be charging. And my response to her is, no, because every single person that I help, when they ask me, how do I pay you? This is my response to them. How much, if you didn't pay me, if you paid me zero, how much does it cost you to refer business back to me in real estate so I can stay in business? So I can stay in business. This is my thing. Not I can make money from you. How do I stay in business so I can help more people like you? And they say to me, I can refer business to you. So I get them. If they don't answer me like this right away, I tell them, how much does it cost for you to refer a client to me? How much does it cost? And they say nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly. You see, I took up my time because I want to make sure you do very well. And it costs you nothing to send a person's name and phone number to me and ask them permission for me to call them. That's all I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
How much effort do you think that would be? And they're like, not much. Great, because that would be a tremendous help for me that you could do this. So it's not enough that I have a relationship with you, Alan. It has to be, I have to teach you how to bring business to me. But how can I teach you how to bring this business to me if all I've done is take your energy away from you? Or if all I've done is actually ask you favors all the time, right? Don't expect to ask favors from people when you never done anything for them, because that's what I call a unproductive moment that you'll have with your relationships. You know, I don't know if you've heard of relationship suckers. Like some people like suck that living daylights out of you, and you don't want to be around them. You don't want to be one of those people.
No,
You
no.
want to be one of those people that people attract to you. So this is the kind of things I teach, is the psychology behind our selling. And of course, it's nice you know a lot of people, but that's not enough.
Right.
And it's been time proven that just knowing, you know, people out there is not enough. You have to be able to actually bring value to their life in some way. So I did this yesterday. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, Mark, my water heater broke. Do you know anybody that can actually replace my water heater, because it's a mess over here? I just called the insurance company and da 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 da." I was like, "Call this person. Let me send you the number." Right?
Right.
Guess what? She owes me a favor. You know,
Well, you
like
helped
two,
them
three
out,
weeks
right?
ago.
You gave them a
Yeah, you
reliable
help them
source.
out, but it's not necessarily cost me any money. It cost me like 30 seconds of my time to actually help her, give her, you know, assistance, right? So helping somebody doesn't necessarily mean monetary.
And it doesn't necessarily mean going over and painting their house either.
Correct, physically,
Right.
correct. Uh-huh.
You know,
Yes.
I have one of these. Remember these old-fashioned wallets,
Yes.
right? And I have it because I keep my favorite people in it. And so somebody says, "Hey, I need a painter. I need a real estate appraiser. I need an insurance guy. I need a
Yeah.
you know, I need a notary." And I go in here, I got it all organized. I'm like, "What do you need?" These are people I've collected, valuable people. So somebody says, "Hey, I need this," call this
Hmm.
person because I've trusted them, and now you can trust them. And
Absolutely.
it was with me everywhere.
Absolutely. So this morning I got a referral, and this referral is in Georgia. So if we have
Oh,
any
okay.
dual license in Florida and Georgia, let me know. This is in the outskirt of it's in the outskirt of Atlanta, right? So
Okay.
I'm picking up a referral there. And this person I have not spoken to since 1998. I sold him a house in 1998. And one day, actually, like last week, I saw him on Facebook. I friended him, and he's like, "Mark, I've been looking for you for many years." And this is 1998. Can you imagine? That's over 25 years ago. And I still had an impact in him. I was the one who sold him his house here in Maryland. And I sold him a house. And then later on, he had to sell it. He moved to Connecticut. So he lives in Connecticut right now. So he's like, "Mark, I need my friend's grandmother. She needs to sell her house in Atlanta." And I was like,
Beautiful.
"Great. I have people there. I have people that can actually." So, you know, the way I
I
look
think
at it,
we
you
do
keep all the
too.
doors open. Exactly.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is, right, um any contact that you have with anybody, you just don't know where the business is going to come from.
No, no, you don't.
Yeah. And the importance of really connecting with people in such a way that you're impactful in their lives makes a huge difference. So every opportunity that I can make a positive impact in someone's life, I mean, I do so. And I just keep moving forward. And business has been great. I mean, you know, so, you know, I'm actually waiting on one right now that's actually, like I told you, like $11.8 million house that I'm actually working on. Hopefully in the next 6 months, these people will buy this property. And, you know, and that relationship derives from 5 years ago when she attended my wedding.
Nice.
And I made her husband part of the wedding, because we had a wedding entourage and we were missing one person that didn't show up to the wedding.
Okay.
So I asked her if I can have her husband actually be in the wedding, part of our entourage, and she was so honored that when she became, I mean, when I didn't even know that she was like super duper wealthy, right? She called me up and she's like, "You know, Mark, I thought I was actually like being shown houses by another agent, and then I thought about how kind you were to give my husband as part of your wedding, and it really meant a lot to us." And she's like, "Could you be my agent to buy this $10 million house?" And that, like, I
Sure.
was like, "Yeah, sure." But
Okay.
so you just don't know where the business comes from, right? I mean, just kindness just goes a long, long way. And
Right.
I don't know how much more I can reiterate. That's a perfect example of a $330,000 commission I'm about to make from kindness from 5, 6 years or 7 years ago when I got married.
So Mark, you know what? I think it's important that, you know, people who will be watching this video, the people who are here now, it's like So not only, and I like to get more into what we're going to be bringing to Ameriteam.
Mhm.
Not only are you bringing coaching and training and accountability programs to Ameriteam, but you haven't just stopped doing real estate and now I want to be a coach and trainer. You're
No,
doing
no.
real estate and you're teaching people how to do real estate. So I think that's important to know because a lot of people out there would rather sell themselves as a coach or trainer, but not a doer. Oh no, I'm
Yeah,
not.
I've done.
No.
This year is my lowest year ever, Alan, and I did about 18 transactions.
Okay,
So
that's
I'm being
reasonable.
honest. Yeah, well, it's not for me actually. I had minimum standards, and it fell below my minimum standard,
Now,
and
that's
commute
you
is no
personally.
excuse. Oh,
That's
me
you,
personally.
right? That's you
Personally,
personally,
I'm
not
yeah.
not the people that you've coached and the
No,
people that you've
no.
helped with other deals and all of
That's
that.
outside of that. Actually, I have a total of 30. If that's they include
Okay.
everybody that I coach, I have a group of people that I was mentoring actually over 20, 26, 27 of them at the time. And I was mentioning to them, I said, you know what? I will take everybody out to a vacation if you can actually beat my numbers combined. So that's how actually
That's
I put
cool.
myself out there. Well, it's not to be arrogant or anything, but it actually when you make those kind of statements, it actually puts you out there to make sure that you do it. Otherwise, like you have to pay for it,
Well,
and
hey,
and
be
when you
careful
hold
what you
yourself
put out
accountable
here.
to the level, when you hold yourself accountable to those numbers, you don't have a choice but to make it happen.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's what we're bringing in. I am a very active real estate professional to this day. It doesn't take me as much time to sell compared to everybody else, mainly because I have the whole support of my back office support that does everything for me. So my primary, like 80% of my work in the real estate field is on the 20% that produces the transaction. So this is where you guys got to get to. I mean, all of us, ideally, and that's why I take a between 12 to 14 weeks of vacation a year, even on those transaction numbers that I just mentioned to you, which is much lower than I normally would run. I'm running around between 30 to 50 transactions a year, and that's by myself usually, not nobody bringing in transactions for me.
All right. So
So,
you're going to be kicking off here on January 8th.
mhm.
Tell us what we can expect as a kickoff on the 8th.
Oh, as a kickoff on the 8th, if everybody participates, which ideally I would want you to, if you're interested in really growing your business, is to really sit down and put together a written plan. Nothing beats a written plan,
Mhm.
mainly because if you don't write it, you forget about it. It just never happens. So, and then you create a scenario or an environment where it will allow you to be able to take chunks of that plan until it gets into a completion. So anything that you imagine, anything you dream of, and I've seen it happen in my career over the years. When I first came into the business, first 4 years of my career, nobody was showing me anything. It's not like the way you're handling this, Alan, in the Team, that you're actually allowing them to get a motivational speaker to speak, to be able to kind of like give them a direction, right?
Mhm.
And you have Terry as a trainer that actually helps them with the training. So you have all these resources that you provide to them. When I started in this business, I was on my own literally, and nobody wanted to show me anything because they thought I was competition. Since I was competition, even I asked people for help, nobody wanted to help me, and it was DOS. I don't know if you remember. That's how old I've been in this business. We
I
did
remember
not have
DOS.
Windows on.
Oh yeah.
It was not an our MLS was on DOS. Okay,
Mhm.
which means you have to put codes. Run this. You know what I'm talking about, Terry. That was in 1994, and there was no buyer's agency back then. It just beginning to be accepted actually in 1996. 1995 buyer agency agreements actually started coming out there, and it's like, what, you're a buyer agent? Who's a buyer agent? I mean, that's how old. Back then it was only seller agent, there was no buyer agent. I don't know if you remember this, but
Well,
yeah, now,
when I bought my first house and it was a relatively new thing, it was through a buyer agent.
yeah, before that there was no buyer agent. In
Interesting.
1994 and before, there was no buyer agents. It was all seller agent and seller sub agent. That's what the seller sub agent came around. So I've seen the whole transformation, and guess what? We're heading back the same direction, the other direction. I think this year, I think NAR just lost $8 by something billion on a lawsuit actually about sellers paying for buyer agency compensation.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous amount. It's $8.1 billion or some crazy amount, right? The point I'm trying to make.
1.8, but
What is it? 1.8. 1.8. I'm sorry.
1.8 billion, but they're,
That's still a lot.
a
1.8
lot.
is a lot of money. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
imagine
lot of money.
if we just get 1% of that, Alan, we're good to go, right? The
Retire.
point, yeah, retire, exactly. My point I'm trying to make is, it's that kind of world that we live in today. Now you have an opportunity to learn from someone. And one of the things my wife, when I first started actually doing motivational speaking like 4 years ago, she asked me, it's like, Mark, why would you be giving away all the information you know about the business? You'll have more competitors, right? And I said, human nature, 90% of them won't pay attention. That's the problem.
It's sad, but
So if you really want your business to take off, pay attention. I mean, to me, this pay attention, because that's what I did after 4 years in the business. I was selling one house a year on average. And I saw this guy in our office, a Remax office, and he was a good friend of my dad, and he was the #1 agent in that office. And at that time, he was making around $250,000, which is big back then in 1994, 1998 at that point. And I looked at him and I said to myself, if I want to make $250,000 a year, I need to hang out with $250,000 a year people in this business. So that's what I did. I didn't know I didn't smoke. I didn't drink coffee back then. I didn't have any of those habits like he had, like on binge drinking on weekends, on partying with his buddies. That's my mentor, by the way. At the time I was looking at him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this kind of thing. I mean, this is not my nature, right? But then I didn't get into the binge drinking, so I actually literally had to drive him back home once in a while when we go to a party.
designated driver. Hey,
designated driver. I ended up actually smoking during smoke breaks, because the only time I can catch him, or coffee breaks. I drink coffee, which I normally don't even drink coffee. I mean, now I'm drinking coffee, but I don't smoke. I never really got into smoking. So the point I'm trying to make to you is, I took certain things seriously when I saw someone who was doing very well, and I looked at him and I said, okay, you know what? I could be doing what this guy's doing. Whatever he's doing, I'm gonna actually learn it. So learning. Every day, every week, I ask him questions all the time. So how come there's a washing machine that was given away to this client? And that was his style, by the way. I mean, to me, I wouldn't be doing it this way, because I don't give away the farm, right? But that was his style. But his style worked over time, because when he gives a gift to actually help clients, which RESPA violation left and right, if you think about it. But at the same time, I was looking at it as like, oh wow, so he's bringing value. So what I notice is the value proposition. He brings in value to get more business. When people owe him something, then they would want to actually like do something for him. And I always remember him actually mentioning, just refer business to me. This is all he said. Just refer business to me. And that stuck in my head. And a couple of things that he actually brought up to me, which I'm gonna explain to everybody as well when we go to the training, is the understanding of having an attitude towards the business of, and this is what I remember what he told me, when your desire turns into an obsession, that's when you find success. Which was kind of interesting. I couldn't understand. Like it's like what is this riddle? What kind of riddle is this? It sounds like Confucius, and there is some truth to that. When you get obsessed, all you think about is that particular thing that you're thinking about. In a short period of time, it works very well, because it teaches you discipline. And once your discipline becomes a habit, then you'll find success in that habit. So I had actually like changed a little bit of things about what he was mentioning. One of them, first of all, is I won't be giving away like anything over $25 as a gift to any of my clients. But I do give something of value, which is basically information. Every year when they actually close a transaction with me, they usually will get a settlement sheet to make sure they can do their taxes.
Nice.
Yes. And every time I go to settlement, I actually have a survey that I have them fill out to make sure that the services that we provided was up to par. Of course, the good ones, we end up actually putting it in my book of presentation that's actually comprised of over 200 or 300 different um, reviews. So before we had all these, Zillow review and all those review, it was on paper.
Right.
I actually created a whole binder full of reviews and over 200 of them,
Nice.
300 of them. So when I sit down with a client, I create credibility just for them looking at my binder, because they can see like notes written, handwritten notes from clients saying what I did for them, why they're so happy with my service, and then they sign the bottom. So it's like handwritten, nice and clean, and they know it's coming from people. So just like what I did on that markcabrera.com, you can see 3 people, because it only allows you upload of 3 people. Otherwise, you have to do the Venmo thing, Vivo thing. So I actually downloaded 3 of them to actually get an idea what it looks like when you're training with someone like me. So video testimonies are very, very powerful.
Yeah,
because especially, of course, and the way I look at it, a lot of salespeople try to pitch, and they start to actually like make up things or borrow other people's experiences. But at this point, there's no sense of doing that, of course, because I have my own set of experiences. There are so many positive experiences that I tell stories. So for people to remember what it's all about. Why am I actually here? What am I doing? Yeah, I did this to this one particular client, and this is what happened. Just like, so people remember stories much better. So these are the kind of things that I'm gonna show on our motivational speaking event that we're gonna be having on the 8th. I'm gonna actually talk about the business plan. I'm gonna talk about the implementation of that business plan into bite-sized pieces of discipline that turns into habits. And when those disciplines becomes habits, then at that point you're gonna start finding that a compilation of those systems and processes that you're implementing on a consistent basis allows you a buildup of clientele that will create multiple transactions for you in the next 3 to 6 months to a year. You're not going to be looking for clients. The clients are coming to you. This is the more powerful part of it.
Now, and that's great. And Mark, it's just so everybody knows here, that's the tip of the iceberg, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot to it.
You've got an entire program that you're bringing to Ameritine that you're going to be able to offer our agents.
Correct.
And this is just an introduction, and then we can go off. Let me just read for the audience here the high points of some of the things he brings, and some of these are basic, but it's a new approach to client expectation meeting and training, setting client expectations, and there's like A through H bullet points in here. Listing presentations, different points of view and things to bring to a listing presentation, basic communication skills. That's something we all need to learn or relearn. Negotiation. Everybody needs to touch on negotiation, technology, knowledge of area, lead nurturing. That's a big one. Marketing, time management skills. I'm in on that one. That's for sure. And handling sales objections, and then personal development skills. All those things down here: perseverance, influence, drive, goal setting. All of these things in here that all the wheels need to be turning in us to actually do the things that we need to do. And Mark, I find it interesting about the whole obsession thing. I was 24 when I started my first company, and I ate, slept, and lived it. And 16 years later, I sold out and moved on. But that was 16 years of building and excitement and really some really cool stuff. And but there were times when I was building my business, when I was sitting on the edge of my bed near tears, exhausted, because I thought, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? And it's hard to relay I say exhilaration because, when you come through something on the other side and you see it all come together and work, that's the hard thing to teach. That's the hard thing to relay, that you could put yourself through it. Everybody has their own version of hell. But to come out on the other side of it, but come out not alone. And so many of us, like yourself, you try to get in, you try to get that knowledge from other people, or you go out and you launch something, and you're basically you're the man. It's all on you. In this particular instance, for our audience here, they need to know that we're in it with them. You're not in it alone, and you're going to have times when it's like you're sitting on the edge of your bed going, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And but now you got somebody to call, you got somebody to talk to, you got somebody to be there for you, and you've got people you're working with that have been through it and that can help you with it. We understand where you're at. So this is a powerful thing we're bringing in 2024. It's a great way to kick off the new year. Mark, I know you got to come to the Christmas party. You got to talk to some of the other agents here who aren't here with us today. And what was your feel for the energy here?
What I see with AmeriTeam is a group of dynamic agents that has a lot of potential to actually take it to the next level. What I notice is the direction that the management and the organization has done actually, and the leadership is amazing. You don't get to grow 230 agents without actually having good leadership. So that's one thing I noticed. You guys have good leadership. Everybody respects the organization, which I really enjoyed, and it feels, it's in a setting where I was actually, I saw family. I saw family that people actually connected very well. There's no I don't see, like, how some organizations where I used to work at Wycert actually a long time ago when I first started in the business, you can feel the competition to the level of like hating each other kind of thing. There's none of that in this organization, which I really enjoyed actually when I came in, and I wanted to get a feel for it as well in terms of culture. So you guys have something really great. The one thing I noticed actually, production numbers could be much better. That's one thing I noticed, because most of the people I talk to, even the ones that's been in the business over 20 years, some of them are only sold like 5 or 6 houses in a year. It's a rough time to be selling houses right now.
Yep.
But we don't have to make it rougher if our mindset is not in tune, which means every opportunity that we have to actually reshape the way we think of our business will allow us to actually grow to the next level. When I'm saying this is that every time that you fall, and I'm sure you've heard of this before, every time you fall, it's not how many times you fall, it's the attitude that you have in getting up, and getting up as quickly as you can, and brushing yourself off and moving forward, and and keep on going. And what I've learned over the almost 30 years of real estate, some of my colleagues that I started with are no longer in business. Some of them actually, a lot of them have quit. I would say 90% of the people that started with me in 1994, even 95% of them are not even in business at this point. And the ones that are, yeah, absolutely. And the ones that are actually still in business, only probably, I would say, out of the 5% that's still in business, I would say 50% of them are still doing some business. That's how difficult it's been for some people going through that recession in 2008. Actually, I've seen people actually drop off. But here's the thing. In between 2008 and 2015, which our economy went into recession, this is around the time that I had the most problems with my personal life as well. But if you look at my numbers, it's still averaging 6 figures. It's still averaging over 100 and something, $150,000, $200,000 a year. And one of the reasons behind that is because even on the lowest market, when we actually hit like 2008, when the market dropped, I made it to the top 20 for Remax. And it was kind of interesting because I was like, wait a minute, I did the same production last year. Why is this different? What ended up happening, what people don't realize, is what it takes to get to the similar numbers you have from a year prior. If you look at your activities, you need to double, triple, quadruple your activities in order for you to get to those same numbers. So it's not the market that you need to react to in terms of like, oh, it's horrible, so therefore I'm going to be doing the same thing. No, right. It's horrible, so therefore I need to, instead of making 20 calls, I'm going to need to make 40 calls. Instead of making 40 calls, I need to do 60 calls. So then to produce the same amount of result. We are in the numbers game. People forget that our numbers, our volume of numbers of sales is dependent on the volume of numbers of activities that we do. Right. So if your production numbers is half, let's say, of what you did the year before, then what you need to do is you need to do twice as much. If your production number is 3 times more, less, then you got to do 3 times more. So it's all relative to how you adjust to where the market is. And what people don't realize is we go through what we call a breakthrough. So what happens is a lot of people will actually do the same activities, produce less result, and eventually those people are out of the business, right? So when you have 1,000 people, let's say, and 900 of them actually decide to get out of the business, guess what? You got 100 people doing 1,000 people's work now. So now you're back to the same production numbers you did the year before.
Right.
So what you got to understand is, don't look at what the market is doing. Look at what you're doing with the market. Look at how you're reacting to the way the market is moving. So that's my point. If that
Mark,
makes sense.
It does, and I'm glad you said that. And I want it to be clear to everybody here that as far as being a quote unquote numbers person, I want to share some of the conversations that you and I have had, Mark, because the numbers are different for everybody. Not everybody wants to sell 30 to 50 transactions a year. Some might be happy with 10 to 15 or 20, right? And that's okay, because when we start planning out our new year, the plan will be different for everybody. So somebody who says, I just want to close 2 transactions a month, their effort and commitment will be different from somebody who says, I want to close 2 transactions a week. And, Mark brings something to the table. He was very humble in sharing that, his first wife, work-life balance, the lessons we learn in life about, making sure that if you're going to be putting a plan together for 2024, that it's work-life balance, that you're not sacrificing, unnecessarily. That's not what it's all about. It's about getting you where you want to be and what's comfortable for you. And maybe even sparking you to step a little bit above your comfort zone, which is, I think, and I speak for myself here, but I've always been that kind of person. It's like when I start to feel comfortable, that's when I start to feel uncomfortable. And I got to push, you push the next level. And not for everybody, but you've got people here that are willing to help you if that's what you want to do. And I want to make that clear for everybody here and out there, is that if you have this little flame inside you that's been just kind of burning away, going, I know I could do a little bit better, or I know I could do a lot better, this is your opportunity to get plugged in and get what you want out of it. Everybody who wants to stay in real estate wants to make money doing it. And how much is really up to you. We don't dictate that. Nobody here dictates any of that. But what Mark is offering now is a way in that offers coaching and training and motivation beyond our Motivation Monday, and some accountability. So some great accountability features built in the program too, that go a long way and that have helped. And Mark, you've even shared on 1 or 2 occasions where an agent left because they were like, okay, I got everything I need. I can take this now and go do it. And then came back, was like, you know what? Just a few pieces I still want to stay plugged into. And so they take advantage on an a la carte, if you will, basis. I'm going to have this piece of the menu and that, and I'm good. And so there's something in it here for everybody.
I like what you mentioned, actually, Alan, about work-life balance. With my wife and I, when we're putting our business plan together, it's not just the business plan. We also have a life plan. Mm-hmm. What are we looking at in terms of 4 areas of our lives, which is basically one part of it is, of course, the business plan, which creates the financial side of it. Our health, mental and physical health. What do we do on a regular basis that creates that lower stress level, so then we don't get sick as often, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then we're looking at the family life, family time. So the better that you have your business plan written in terms of how much time you're willing to spend. So some people would want to spend 60 hours on a work. And to me, I never understood why you have to spend that much time. I mean, before I kind of looked at it like, oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed, right? Yeah. And then I realized, wait a minute. There are portions of our business that actually can be delegated to someone else to do. We don't have to do everything in the world. we don't have to do everything under the sun. There are certain things that allows us to be able to free up our time in the kind of work that we do. And so that's where I come in terms of looking at efficiencies. So my mantra is very simple: more income, more vacation; more productive, more time off. And it looks like contradictory, but in reality, if you look at the wealthiest people out there and the most successful real estate agents and brokers, they have a lot of vacation time, I promise you, because the most money I made in this business are the most vacation I've ever taken. We're talking about like almost $1 million in 1 year, and we're talking about 9 weeks of vacation in that same year.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, Mark. My very first real estate coach and trainer, Terry Barnett, was one of those who convinced me. It's like, okay, we're out doing sales and doing this. Let somebody else do the transaction management. For a
That's
few
right.
$100s out of your pocket, you can go generate another $3,000 or
That's
six
right.
or eight or $9,000 in revenue, and give a piece of that off to a transaction manager who's going to handle all the admin and the paperwork. So let them worry about that. And that was a very important lesson. Right. Yes. Thank you, Terry. And I give Terry credit and other coaches who see the benefit of, well, no, I've got to do everything myself. And so now if you get busy, not if, when you get busy and you're doing 1 or 2 transactions a week, you'll drive yourself nuts, because what ends up happening to every agent is you get so caught up in the transaction management, you're not doing the business building stuff. You're not reaching out. You're not having the open houses. You're not making the phone calls. You're not doing all those things that got you that business to begin with. And so,
That's right.
yeah, right. Thank you, Terry, for those visuals.
Terry,
Yes.
that was good visual, Terry. And it's interesting you mentioned that, Alan, because one of the things that we do in the group that I actually started, we have a 24/7 support that actually does everything back office. I mean, from searching properties for like scheduling appointment, your scheduling portion of it, your transaction coordination. They're gonna with your direction, they're gonna do the administrative, like secretarial stuff that they can actually do for you. They can also do the marketing, certain marketing for you. So, but we have like between 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, all the way around the clock coverage for those kind of things. Because some people, they work in a part-time basis and they're only available at night. Well, if you're available at night and you're doing your contracts, how can you be making phone calls and actually building your business, right? So I'm running off of Terry's mindset is the same way, right? So what I had done is created the system of being able to actually free up people's time, even if they're part-time. They can actually have the resource to be able to actually do the things that they need to do, like they're in a full-time basis, right? So whatever time they have on a part-time basis, all they're doing now is making phone calls and producing that 20%, they're producing it more and more and more. So it's the same idea. Now here's the interesting part. I've had agents are actually dual career, full-time full-time IT. I have a person that worked at the utility company here. He works at night. He came to me producing 4 transactions a year, about 4 to 5 transactions a year. And I got him to produce 15 to 16 transactions a year with the system that I had put together. And all he does is going to appointments, making phone calls, connecting with people, going on events to meet new people, and close. And everything else that you can think of that's actually dealing with administrative, someone else did, which is my staff. And he saw the biggest difference. It's exactly the idea. You only have 24 hours in a day. You have 8 hours of sleep if you're lucky, and then you have at least 2 or 3 hours of eating or taking a shower or taking care of yourself or going to the gym or whatever. So you're practically 10 to 12 hours outside of your 8 hours of work. If you have dual career,
you take a shower
every morning, right? Between shower and brushing your teeth and whatever you're doing in the bathroom and eat. Look, think about that. Brushing your teeth, doing personal hygiene, whatever you're doing, and then you're doing like you're eating, outside of even talking to your family. Like you're talking to your family, how's your day? You haven't even got to that point. You already ate up at least 10 hours of your day. 10 hours. So you're down to 14 hours left. Now for the people that are dual careers, which I'm sure you have some of those dual career people, right? 8 hours of their day minimum is already gone. So you're really down to what, 6 hours? That's not even including any personal time. I'm talking about, like, I don't know how people find time for social media, like chit-chatting on the phone or like chit-chatting on Messenger, keeping in touch with. I don't even know how people actually. So the way I look at it, if you're going to create a plan and you're going to create a life, make it intentional. Make it the way you want to make your life to be. And that's the reason why more income, more vacation time. This is my philosophy. The more income you make, the more vacation time you have. The more income you make again, the more vacation time you have. And with those hand in hand, I can tell you, your life is beautiful. Exactly, Mr. Terry. Exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, so it boils down to that. And what people don't realize is, if you create a system that builds from what you've done from the beginning, and it builds up over the time that you're in the real estate business, you don't look for the business come to you.
Mark, thank you for that. And the earlier comment, this is something that's very important, and it's a juggling act. We get a lot of agents, and hopefully some of you will be watching this video. We have a lot of agents who are out there that do have a full-time job, and they have families, and they have these other responsibilities, and they got maybe 2 to 4 hours on a given day, trying to focus on real estate. What do I do with those 2 to 4 hours? How do I maximize the effort for those 2 to 4 hours to be able to turn this into something? And they're finding it near impossible. So if we can, if you guys can get into a program like this, and I'm going to highly recommend this to everybody who's watching this video, January 8th, put in for the day off now. Put in for the day off. Will be, what, people spend thousands of dollars and take long weekends and weeks and go off to see Tony Robbins, and they spend tens of thousands of dollars going off and on. Look, the event's free. We're giving you food. So everybody look for the e-bite. We're going to give you food. You're going to get to meet Mark, and you're going to get to see what this is all about and how you can maximize your just 2 to 4 hours a day to build something worthwhile. And so everybody, plan on taking the day off. Just January 8th, I say, hey, boss, I need the 8th off. And I know it now. And it's after the holidays, so you should have no problem. It's a Monday, so it's a great day to take off. So I think that's really encouraging. I think we get a lot of part-timers out there who would really be encouraged by something like this that would be tremendous for them.
And Alan, it's also an a la carte scenario. So whatever actually fits their schedule, fits their budget, fits their agenda, fits their project that they're trying to accomplish, in terms of like what their plans are. Like you said, some people only want 2 transactions a year, while some people actually want 200, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is a broken down plan to the daily of where you're going to be on every given day. It's actually a predictable scenario. So time blocking is an important factor to this, obviously, because if you have a time block, is great. A buddy system is actually a good system if you have a good buddy to begin with. But in the scenario where we are, what we're trying to do is create an accountability situation where you're going to have like a 2 to 5 minute call huddle on a daily basis, if this is what you want, to be able to actually kind of mirror exactly what you've done the prior day. So that if they're 5 days, 10 days, 15 days doing this, you're going to realize, wait a minute, I'm not on my goal. I'm not on track. But you're the only one who's going to know that. That's the problem with self-employed. We're really unemployed until we decide to actually be accountable for ourselves. I mean, that's the way. That's really the truth, isn't it? I mean, if you don't collect anything in terms of commission in our business, what makes you different than an unemployed person out there on the street? There's no difference. Nothing, no difference, right? I mean, if you become unemployed, you don't get paid. If you become a realtor who doesn't actually hold yourself accountable, you don't get paid. So that is the same thing. So I always tell people, I was like, you want to make money or you want to be unemployed? I mean, this is the only two choices you have in this business. You want to make money. If you're going to get into the business like, oh, I want to sell 2 houses, fine. I mean, this is like a hobby for you. Great. But a lot of us wouldn't mind if we sold 10 and we made over $100,000. It's a good hobby. It's a much better hobby than selling 2. All right. I mean, so the point is, like, what we're coming up with is the idea that what is manageable with your time. What are your priorities? If your priority is, like, let's say raising kids, and you have a bunch of kids that you need to actually attend to, okay? So you only have a certain amount of time. What do you do with that time that you're willing to actually work with? Or if you're a dual career, then you're getting paid, let's say, $100,000 a year on a job, right? You're making about $50,000 an hour, right?
50
The way
hours, 50 an hour.
Yeah, about $50 an hour. So if you're making $50 an hour, how much better is your life if you assign 90% of your real estate work to somebody that's making $7, that you're paying $7 an hour to? You just freed up $43 an hour of your time. That's just on your full-time job, considering. Now, when you start making money in the real estate side of it, your $50 an hour all of a sudden turns to 75, turns to 100. Like this one engineer that works for the utility company that came up with me for 5 transactions. He makes already over $120,000 a year. When he came up to me and I said to him, what's your goal? It's like, I want to make a part-time job making over $100,000 here. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So I set up a plan for him, set up an accountability scenario, set up an assistant that he pays, right? So he can free up his time. And he only focused on just making phone calls, meeting people, closing transactions. And that was it. And he closed like 14, 15 transactions a year on a part-time basis, 20 hours a week.
Wonderful. That's,
So is it doable? Absolutely doable.
Absolutely.
You want to talk to the guy? I can have you talk to the guy. He still works at Remax. So,
Well, look, Mark, we did an hour. And before it's been wonderful. It was a quick hour for me, I'll tell you. Yeah. And but before we go, we do have a few people here, and I'd like to give anyone or everyone an opportunity. Does anyone have a question for Mark, a comment, something like they'd like to ask him? Share.
This is Terry. I'll just say that I'm excited about the event. I'm looking forward to learning more about what you got, Mark. This is exciting.
Excellent. Thank you for that input, Terry. Carmen, you always have something to say.
Well, actually, I do. Hi, Mark.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Okay. Those buyers that you were talking about, your friends, that you make good friends with them and whatnot. Is it that sometimes they don't want you to know how much they make, and that's why they go with another realtor?
That could be an issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the hurdle that you're running into is a trust issue, that you would not be in confidence that you're not going to say to anyone, or you'll be in a person that would judge them based on how they perceive you. So if a person is not willing to share financial information with you, or personal information with you, it means you haven't really connected to them. They're more acquaintances than close ties in terms of friends. I consider friends as someone that can trust me, that when you say something to me, I take it to the grave.
Correct.
Right? But if you have a reputation that they say something to you and they feel like somebody else found out about it, kind of thing, then they would more than likely want to work with you. So you have to be very careful to formulate your reputation and reiterate to some of these people that thinks this way, reiterate to them that whatever you tell them is in confidence.
Correct.
That's the biggest objections those people have, why they don't want to actually work with you, if they are in fear of you finding out their information. Or sometimes in my younger days, like my 20 years ago days, I come across very very aggressive, right? I have to literally tone myself down when I'm actually, before I go into a party, to make sure that I'm actually blending in to where most people don't really kind of look at me like, oh, negatively. kind of thing, because it's very important to understand how the dynamic of the room is, so that people get to know you, get to like you, get to understand you, get to know that you're a kind-hearted, caring person. Those are qualities that's actually picked up through how you behave. It's like your way of speaking, your way of body movement, your eye contact, right? If you can notice, I'll give you an example on eye contact. If somebody that's in the room, right, walks in and they don't make eye contact with anybody, right? Some people will look at that, oh wow, this person is kind of snobby, right? I mean, sometimes you have that. Or if a person looks down the whole time, right? Oh, this person must be very shy. So it's many different ways for us to actually present ourselves, and we don't even realize. So your body language, your movement, your way to talk, the content of what you say too. Because if you're a type of person that's constantly cursing, let's say, right, or actually using foul words, some people get turned off by that, right? So there's a lot of things that you have to kind of look at it in terms of how you come across to people. And that's how you overcome some of these issues that you run into, that if you have some of your friends don't want to buy with you because there's also could be a reason of, if they told you the information, that they might get embarrassed with some people that they know. Well, in order for them not to feel that way, that's your cue to kind of be able to connect with them in a very kind, like confidential type way, where they feel like, okay, Carmen, I can tell you anything in the world, and you're not only you're not going to judge me, but you're not going to tell anyone about it. Once you get to that point, they're okay to actually work with you at that point. But if you come across as somebody like even talking about other people, forget about it. They're not going to tell you anything. If you even talked about one other person that they happen to know in a conversation, they know that you're going to be doing that to them. That's how they're going to start thinking. So these are very important factors of why people don't want to work with you, even though you're friends with you. It's because of how you present yourself and how you created that image of perception of you. So it's very important to be aware of that. But how often do we pay attention to these things, right? We don't.
They're subconscious.
We don't. Subconscious is subconscious. But if you're aware of it, can you imagine how powerful that is to start working on yourself on that kind of scenario? So I'm constantly in a what do you call this? Like information searching mode. Put it this way. I'm constantly in an information searching mode and how to connect all these dots. And this is the reason why I know all these things, because I constantly been reading different psychology books, and I'm starting to connect and see exactly how human beings have patterns. And if you start understanding those patterns, you start connecting with people better in different ways. So, having that kind of knowledge is very powerful. Actually, I was listening to, even sometimes when I get to watch shorts, like the YouTube shorts or whatever, and I get to see a speaker who's very successful and recommends a book, right? I right away look at it and it's like, okay, let me check this book out and see what this speaker or this person who's talking about it, what he got out of it. The latest one we're doing, my wife and I are actually reading a book. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't know if you've heard of this book, but it was written in the 1960s by this guy named Maxwell Maltz. He's a what do you call this, plastic surgeon, and he wrote a book that was so intuitive about psychology and how we behave and patterns that we have and our mannerism, actually how it affects other people in terms of and also our mindset of success. It talks about a lot about actually the mindset of a successful person. So it gives you insight. But within those books, each chapter, I start connecting it with different books that I've actually read over the years. So reading books in regards to this particular area, if you really want to get good in real estate, is really understanding human behavior to a level where it can connect to your sales. Because remember one thing, what's the difference if you are a potential client, Carmen, and Alan and I came up to you wanting to work with you, right? Or you're looking for a house, right? you know Alan 10 times more than you know me. But more than likely already, Alan already has an advantage, right? He does, because you know him personally, you know him in our office, you know him character-wise, you know his family, you know he's gonna get in trouble with his wife if he messes you up, you know, kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot at stake, right? So it's like 10 times harder for me to actually try to get your business in that sense, right? But if Alan actually doesn't have certain qualities that I have that attracts you to want to actually work with me more, then you'll end up with me.
Yeah.
You know how that works? So the whole psychology of everything actually makes a big difference in terms of whether or not you're going to get a client. And also the attitude you come in with. So I have this one agent that walked into an accounting office, and he waited in the accounting receptionist area, and there were 3 clients there that was sitting. Right? And she ended up getting all 3 clients of the accounting firm people. She ended up selling them houses. And this is how it happened. The week before that, we went to the same title company office. And we went in there. She picked up a check and left. I picked up a check and started chit-chatting with everybody, all the way to the owner, all the way to the back of the office. Next thing you know, I picked up a client who's an investor who ended up working with me. And then that Saturday, we sat down and we're like having this meeting. I said, hey, did you see that? Did you go to the title company? She's like, yeah. Did you see that? Did you meet this person? It's like, no. Did you actually meet the other person? No. Did you meet that investor that's looking to buy a house? No. I was like, really? What did you do? I just came in there, picked up the check and left. And I said, okay, so this is where the problem is. And I told her, did you know, and this is one of my coaching sessions actually, did you know if you walk into your accounting, a person who's doing your taxes right now, and you have a line of people sitting there, all those are potential clients because they got nothing to do but to listen to you. You know why? Because they're sitting there anyway. They're just going to wait until the guy actually calls him in to do their taxes. So you might as well start chit-chatting with them. Guess what? More than likely, some of them will end up buying a house with you. So she followed, when she went to the accounting place like a week later, that's exactly what she did. And she picked up 3 clients out of that. So it's the attitude you come in with, right? Not just, it's like the whole radar. You got this radar, tick, 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 and some people have it up and some people just have it down. This is the difference. Yeah,
Carmen's been very good at taking some of those opportunities, haven't you, Carmen?
Oh, yes, I have.
Hey, sitting in a doctor's office waiting around, next thing you know, you're having a conversation. Oof, here's my card.
Everybody.
Yeah, so now it's just that's when you pick up leads. Now it's the lead conversion thing.
Yeah.
And I look at the lead conversion like we were saying, it's like nurturing. You got to nurture those leads into a client because it takes time to actually become a client. It's not overnight, because if I just met you today, it doesn't mean you're gonna buy a house with me today or tomorrow or next week. You got to get to know me better. So I have to have a lot of touch points with you, whether it's actually by text, email, or call, or whatever. And it has to follow up with the calls as well. So I had this one client that I was following up for over a year, and he lives in Pennsylvania with his wife. By the time that he decided to buy a house, he introduced me to his wife as his close friend.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is great. I had 9 conversations with him, probably no more than 5 to 10 minutes long on each conversation, right? And a year later passes by, and I've been talking to him the whole time. A year later, when they bought a house, they bought with me, and he introduced me to his wife as his friend.
Oh, wow. Nice. Nice.
That's what I'm saying, nurturing. So that KV core that Ameriteam offers, I mean, it's there, and you got to make use of it to the best of your ability, because it used to cost me over $150 to have there's another one, a top producer. They have a top producer account that I was paying over $150 a month for, just to have this database. And here you are, you're giving it away as part of being the Ameriteam. I don't see why it's not being used to the maximum capability. And that's another part of the marketing that naturally has to occur in regards to being successful. So point I'm trying to make to you is, there is a process. There is a step-by-step build up to get to that point. So there's this book, Good to Great, by Jim Collins. It talks about the flywheel effect. every input of the same amount that you put into a flywheel doesn't make the flywheel go any faster. The long-term effect of the same input on a flywheel makes that wheel go faster and build momentum and going faster and faster and faster. It's the same idea in real estate that you can apply. You can actually look at your business as a small input, the same input every time you're going in there, day in, day out, but you're consistent and you're disciplined enough to make that part of your habit. And eventually that same input will create that whole pattern of success over time. And that at that point, once the flywheel starts spinning, your vacation is going to be more and more beautiful. Your time off is going to be nicer and nicer and nicer. Especially the way we're going to work together, because I have back office support, so that if you're still full-time somewhere else, you're actually your part-time real estate is only being spent on the most productive areas of your business.
Beautiful.
And that's the idea.
Excellent.
Great.
Mark,
Thank you.
Carmen. That was a great question.
Thank
Anyone else? Well, okay. So listen, everybody, January 8th. Now, we're going to have more videos. Mark, your website was markcabrera.com.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to learn more, you can go check out Mark on his website, and also YouTube, Mark Cabrera on YouTube. I've been sharing some of those videos.
Yeah, at Mark R. Cabrera.
At Mark R. Cabrera. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's for the YouTube one. Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I just searched you and you popped up and I went, click, subscribe, boom, and you were there. So Mark's got a great collection of videos in there. He's got a whole bunch of shorts. Some of those I've been sharing with you guys on WhatsApp, some longer videos, trainings and other things that he offers that you can get into right now and get more familiar with Mark and what he brings to the table. But everybody, get it on your calendar, January 8th. Ask your boss, hey, I need the 8th off. And just let's do this. Carmen, you can't have the day off. It's not gonna happen. All right. Well, Rodolfo, Mary, and Mystery iPhone, I hope to see you all there. And Michelle signed off. I imagine she's already on her plane. So, Mark, I want to thank you so much for sitting. This was a quick, a little over an hour. It didn't even feel like that long, but we covered so much. And Terry, Carmen, thank you for your input and for joining us, Rodolfo, Mary, and Secret iPhone person. I appreciate.
If they have any question, I mean, I don't know, Rodolfo, was he at the party? Was he at the event, or Mary? So, I mean, I don't. Did you see him at the party? I'm not sure if I met
Rodolfo,
him.
are you there?
Maybe not.
You might have it on record. All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Mark.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
Yeah,
Rodolfo, were you at the party, Rodolfo?
No, I wasn't there.
Yeah. You have any questions or anything like that? I mean, how's your business going?
Yeah, I just have a question. Right now, I just finished the one-on-one MLS, and I feel like a little lost towards to this real estate business. I'm just wondering, like, what's the next step that I have to take to grow?
So, Rodolfo, are you signed up for the 0 to 90 class that starts in January?
Yes.
Have
Well,
you so you just starting, Rodolfo? Do you have your
Brand
you
new.
have you're very brand new? Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
so Rodolfo, January 8th at 2 o'clock, we actually are kicking off our brand new first of the year, 0 to contract in 90 days or less. So you should have your new agent handbook, and in there's a whole checklist of things that you can get into. You should be into all your technology and get your BIOS set up. All that checklist is there. Get your business cards set up. It sounds like, did I hear you right, Rodolfo? You've got your classes done with Aura and MLS?
Yes. I
Oh,
just got it
beautiful. Beautiful. So Yeah, I would just start pounding away on those check marks and getting all that. We got to get your foundation all set. Have you logged into all your technology?
Yes, I did.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so KV Core, you've got to get your profile, get your picture up there, get your bio up there. Check out your website. Get your social media all set up, and with your core listing machines, get that in there so it's posting your content. That's one of the things we offer, Mark, is core listing machines allows an agent to set up their all of their social media. It goes into this, they connect it, and it posts content. It posts listings, and you can set, by the way, Rodolfo, when you're setting your, hey, I want to show listings, make sure you set it at like a minimum of 350. Because if you don't set a minimum, you'll what'll happen to you is what happened to me. You'll pop up on your Facebook page, hey, check out this beautiful dream home, and it's a rundown trailer on a half vacant lot. And it's like, so, well, it's somebody's dream home, just not yours, right? So those little things. And Rodolfo, if you need help with any of that, come into the office. We're here.
So the next step, Rodolfo, outside of the things that Ameri team already has set up for you to actually kind of utilize, is if you can make it to the business planning conference we're having, summit on the 8th at the
11
office at 11 a.m.
Yep.
That would be very helpful for you, because to start off a business, remember, you're going into a business. Do you have a full-time job right now, Rodolfo, or this is it?
No, I quit. I was a truck driver, so I couldn't be doing real estate business and truck driving because the hours.
So you decided to go full-time real estate? Is that what you're doing, Rodolfo?
Yes.
Okay, it's more important that you actually attend this meeting, because I'm going to set you up on a business plan that will allow you to actually really make your business take off. And you have to take it seriously, man. This is like burning your ship. If you actually quit your trucking business to get into real estate, we're not doing it the whole idea, I'm going to try. We're going to actually do it that we're going to succeed. I mean, there's no other way around it. So, when I say burning your ship, is you burn your ship to actually fight to the end, to actually make like 6-figure income or whatever income you're trying to accomplish, right? So, I mean, sky's the limit. It's also a bottomless pit. Just remember that. This is the real estate business. Sky's the limit. You can actually make as much as you want. I never thought I was going to make almost $1 million in 1 year in this career, because my first goal when I first came out was like, I want to make a 6-figure income. 100,000 was my goal, right? But after I broke through the 100, the 200, the 300, next thing you know, the 500, I was like, oh man, I want to shoot for $1 million, So the idea of getting into the real estate business, Rodolfo, is not that we pass or we try to see if we can make it kind of thing. You go into this business to actually really be serious about it and go in it actually to change your life. I don't know how much you like the trucking business, but I swear to you, it's 10 times easier to be in the real estate business if you're looking at it from a physical sense. What I loved about this business is you can spend as much or as little time as you want, and you can still make the same or even bigger income once you figure things out. So the idea here is, when you get started here, Rodolfo, you're going to get started in the whole idea that eventually you're going to run into what we call mastery. So before you get to mastery, income is good. But when you get to mastery, income is really good. I mean, it's a life changer. Put it this way. But that's how I saw real estate when I first started. I saw it as like, oh my gosh, this is a way for me to make 6-figure income. But then it became a life changer for me, because I saw the opportunity is limitless as long as you believe in yourself and you believe in what you do. So that's really the most important part. It's your mindset. So I don't know your background. I mean, what before the trucking, what were you doing before?
Before the trucking, I was working at Best Buy.
Okay, great. Did you do sale there? Did you do sales?
No, I did inventory.
Inventory. Okay. Yeah. So definitely this will change your life. I can tell you, it'll change. It's a life changer for you, especially with the amount of information If you follow my lead, I will get you to where you need to go. I mean, I've seen many of the people that I've worked with when they follow exactly the formula. It's not a complicated formula, but it's definitely a formula that if you are consistent at it, that you will find success in it. It's just one of those things. So, you know, I had agents that used to work with me, and what I used to tell them, I said, either we do this right, or I can write a check to payable to excuses, and I guarantee you won't be able to cash it. So, so that's basically what it boils down to. I mean, you know, because we're always going to be distracted. We'll always have excuses why we didn't do a certain thing. But in our business, excuses doesn't get you anywhere. But a nice fat check, like at the end of the month, like 20, 30, 40, $60,000 in 1 month. The most I ever made is 180,000. I had I was a mentee to a mentor, and the mentor cut me a $92,000 check in 1 month, and he said, nobody at 30 years old make this kind of money. And I looked at him, well, the other half of this is yours. I mean, can you imagine $92,000 of a check in 1 month? This is the only kind of business that you can get that. That I think that it's reachable for us, unless you became like, you know, maybe a Hollywood star or something, a different story. But in this kind of story that we have, we can actually create our own stories. We can actually create our own book. So Rodolfo, I'm very excited for you, and I definitely hope to see you there. I look forward to meeting you.
Yes, I'll be there. I'll be there on January 8th.
Sounds good.
Beautiful.
All right. You have any other questions, Rodolfo?
No, I was just, just want to ask that because right now it feels like I don't know, I feel like I should be selling right now because I'm just, like most of the time at home.
Okay, if you're not
online.
too busy, right? Are you busy right now working on the real estate side? I can give you one assignment that will help you a lot by the time we get to the business plan part.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the assignment. The assignment is put on a database of some sort, whether it's KV Core, if you have access to it or not, in organized manner of the people that you know throughout your whole life. Okay? And this is a lot of work, I swear to you. You might think it's like a little work, but it is a lot of work. I got thousands of people on my database, on my phone, right? From my phone that I'm looking at, I pick the top 125 people that if I call them, not only they'll call me back, they'll be so happy to hear from me. I need to have you go through your database and pick out 125 people that if you call them, they're so happy to hear from you. Okay? I don't know, how have you been in the area for a long time?
In Florida, just a year and a half.
Okay, so out of your year and a half that you've been in Florida, if you don't have 125 people, okay, start working on it during the holiday season. When you go to a party or to an event, try to attend as many events as you can while you're actually, since you're trying to grow your database. Every person you meet, spend no more than 5 minutes and try to get to know them and get their name and phone number. And you don't get business cards. You don't pass out business cards. You ask for their phone number and their name if you happen to like them on your phone. Put them on your phone. Okay? So I need you to collect 125 people that you can actually call on a regular basis. Start there. And then when we actually get into the business planning, I will show you what to do with it to the level where you can actually nurture a process where you can actually get those people to refer business to you. See, people think when you have a database, those people are going to be buying with you. The more important part is the 3 to 5 people that they know that are going to be looking to buy or sell a house. If you can extract those from those people, now you have almost 500 people that would want to buy a house with you. You see, because everybody knows at least 3 people who'll be buying or selling a house in a year. This is statistically proven. 3 people in a year that somebody will know. So at any given moment, that 125, that's easily 500 leads that you're going to get if you know how to nurture them over time. So this is the simplest process. And by the way, it's also the least costly. Because the phone nowadays, it's unlimited call, right? I mean, back then I had to pay I had to pay a ton of money, over $1,000 of minutes. I spent 6,000 minutes a month on my phone talking to people. That's what it takes. That's what it takes to actually make the kind of income I wanted to make. There's a minimum standard I had set for myself, 6 transactions 1 month, right? You can set yourself, Rodolfo, in the next 6 months to at least sell 3 properties. 3. That means your learning curve is there, but within 6 months, you actually can sell 3 properties. That's realistic, way realistic. And once you start getting the feel of selling a house, it makes it easier and easier for you. And also one last thing, Rodolfo, it's called borrow experience. When you're new in this business, everybody can tell you're green. You're new in the business, right? Someone like Terry, someone like Alan, someone like me, you can borrow our experience. Believe me, we don't mind actually. We don't mind helping you if we can get the 10, 20, 30% of the income, but at least guarantee that you actually got a client out of it. Because you're going to be competing with people like me in the business, or people like Terry or Alan, right? And they've been in the business a long time and you're new in the business. So more than likely, the advantage is with them to actually get these clients. But if you borrow the experience from other people, this is where you begin to see where the benefits come in. This is what I did on my first year. After 4 years in the business, selling 1 house a year, on my 5th year going in with a mentor, I didn't sell me, I sold my mentor. You know how many houses I sold in 1 year? 60. 60 in 1 year. Can you imagine that? Why? Because I borrowed his experience. I didn't sell me, I sold him. And I sold him, I didn't care all day long, because the way I look at it, right? The way I look at it, I'm more competitive. I'm more competitive if I sold a person who's been in the business 20 years versus me, who's just been in business less than a year or less than 5 years, sold nothing, hardly anything. So just think about these things I'm mentioning to you, food for thought. That's how you actually create momentum. And once you start getting transactions on your belt, then at that point, when I talk about transactions on your belt, when you have more than 10, 12, 15 transactions on your belt, you don't have to sell anybody else. You can sell yourself.
Right.
But before you get to that point, sell someone else. I promise you, it's so beneficial. I know we all have egos, because my ego got in the way in the beginning of this process. I mean, 4 years of my ego getting in the way, I came to realize, you know what, let me try a different way, so I don't feel like I'm going insane here, like doing the same thing, expecting different results, right? So that's what I did, and that's what made a big difference. So my advice to you, Rodolfo, whatever it is, whoever got you into the business, working with Alan and Terry, I mean, they're wonderful, experienced, well-seasoned people. And I hope if I get a chance to work with you, I'll definitely show you the ropes and show you exactly what it takes to actually make a living, not only a living, make a killing doing this kind of work.
So Rodolfo, what Mark is suggesting is right out of section 1 when we kick you off. So in your agent handbook, to help you collect all of those names at the very back, one of the last 2 or 3 pages, there's a memory jogger from, help you look back in your past of every experience you've ever had, whether it was a sports club or school or, this lists and lists of jobs that you've had, people you've met in your careers, and all of those things. And by the way, Rodolfo, they don't all have to be local. I had one of my agents moved here from Virginia, and most people from up north moved to the south. So she was able to actually capitalize on that, got a ton of business from her hometown area that she met that people wanted to, I'm interested in moving to Florida. So last I checked, it was between 800 and 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. So don't worry if you're not from here. Even if you know people back home, connect with them, let them know, because they're going to know somebody eventually is going to want to move to Florida. So don't discount people that aren't from around here.
You just don't know where the business comes from.
You don't.
That's all.
We'll cut them out.
Yeah.
All right. Mary?
Mary?
Any questions, Mary? You've been quiet. We've had a few people had to leave, but the floor is yours if you have a question.
No, I don't have any question. I'm just ready for the class.
You're ready for the class.
Wonderful.
All right.
I'm ready for the class too, Miss Mary.
Me too.
Thank
Mark.
you.
Definitely.
Mark.
Look forward.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate you, Rodolfo, Mary, and the others who came. and the others who will be watching this, because our guru here, Terry, is going to be taking this video and working magic with it. We'll have cuts and excerpts and all kinds of stuff going out between now and the 8th. And Mark, I'm excited too. We all are to have you join us.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
you and Olina and your family have a wonderful Merry Christmas.
Yeah, same with you, Alan.
And, we're looking forward.
Yeah, and your lovely dog too. Your dog is
Max. That's
pretty
right.
cool.
You got to meet Max at the Christmas party. So
Yeah, I met him before too. Actually, you had your dog in your office last time.
That's
I
right.
remember.
You did. He's here quite often.
Yeah.
All right, Mark.
All right. Have a Merry
Okay.
Christmas.
You too.
Happy New Year. To you too, Terry. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, man.
You too.
You're
Rodolfo,
awesome.
Mary.
You guys, yeah, same with you guys.
Thank you, you guys as well. Merry Christmas.
All right, I'll see you at the event. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.